In this short video, we are going to look at how you can use Adobe Express as a direct alternative to Jamboard. Now, Jamboard disappeared in October of this year, and now it's only view only, so you can't create any new Jamboards. And previously, Jamboard was used really effectively for collaboration between teachers and pupils. So I'm just going to show you an alternative as to how you can use Adobe Express in the same way as Jamboard. So first of all, you go to adobeexpress.com. Make sure you're signed in with your Edubuzz account, and we're going to go up to this little plus button in the top left-hand corner. Now, you can choose whatever size you wish. For the purpose of this, I'm going to choose 16 by 9 on landscape, and that will generate a little file that allows you to edit within Adobe Express. There's a couple of things that you can do with regards to the background. You can leave it completely white if you want to, but for the purposes of this, we're going to add a little bit of media in there. So I'm going to generate an image, and really quickly I'm going to choose landscape, and I am going to generate an AI image on Adobe Express regarded to digital learning. Now, you can play about with the text prompts here. It will generate me a random image using artificial intelligence related to digital learning. If you want to kind of make that a little bit more specific and precise to your learners, then that's totally fine. But I'm just going to choose this one for the purpose of this example. So we've chosen our digital image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it up so it's the full size of our screen. And just make sure that it fills the entire screen, and that's us. So the problem with this now is we can't collaborate on an image because the text would be illegible. It would be really hard to read. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the image is selected, and we're going to go over to our menu here, and you see this opacity scale. We're going to scale that down and just make it a little more transparent, almost translucent. So I'm quite happy with that. That's our image, and that's our background. We've used the AI image generator to create a background on our Adobe Express file. The second thing you want to do, and this is where the collaboration element comes into it, is we want to go back to our menu on the far left, and you scroll down right to the bottom where you'll see charts and grids. So if we select charts and grids, you'll see that it comes up with all charts, tables, and grids. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to add a table, and I'm just going to select this, which is just a simple table that you would expect to see in Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and we're just going to add it in here. So by just clicking and selecting, we can add our table in, and we can resize it as appropriate. We can also use this little button to move it around so we can find the middle of the section. Now, for example, this is 4 by 5, so that's 20 pupils. So for example, 20 pupils would have one text box to edit themselves. If you felt like you needed to add a few more rows or a few more columns, there's the option to do so at the top. So we can just add a row and we can add a column. I'm actually going to add another column. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition that here, and I'm just going to resize it ever so slightly so that the ability or the space that pupils have to input the text is as big as possible. And then I'm just going to recenter that again so you can see the two pink lines. Understand I have it in the middle, both landscape and portrait. So we have our collaboration box here, which you can share, and pupils can input text into each box. Now, by default, Adobe Express will set the text font in there to quite big. So what I would do is I would highlight all of this, and I would just change the text size in here to maybe 20, so half the size that Adobe Express suggests. So you can see that I've tested the little text box and I've added a little input in there. Now, if this, for example, is a KWL grid for our topic on Egypt, you can name this particular file KWL Egypt. Now, assuming that you don't want to have to do this every time you want to collaborate, you can actually recreate this really simply by just duplicating what you've already done. So you've got your background image, you've got your grid that you think is big enough, and set up so that all pupils have the ability to access one little text box. The next thing you would do is, you're happy with this, you've got your KWL for Egypt, you can go up to add and you can just duplicate. So that fundamentally creates another file, the exact same. So within that one Adobe file, you've now got 2 slides. And this one, slide 2 or page 2 of 2, could therefore be your plenary for maths. And then what you could do is you could add and duplicate again, and you could create lots and lots of collaboration spaces within this one file on Adobe Express that would allow you to, simply by renaming the pages, allow you to collect lots of information around collaboration. The one thing to ensure that when you are sharing this with pupils, the final thing to do when you're finished with this is you can click the share button. And there is one really important piece of information, because by default, it says only invited people can access. Now, what we want to do is we want to change that to everyone at East Lothian Council can access, but we also want to change that to everyone in East Lothian Council can edit. And that allows the people that you share this link with to be able to contribute to that that file. So all we would have to do then from there is we would copy the link, and you would simply paste that link into your Google Classroom via possibly an assignment or on your stream, or however you wanted to communicate that with your learners. They would then have access to this, and you would be able to collaborate on a regular basis using this functionality. I hope that was useful. That was just one little insight as to how you can use Adobe Express as a collaboration tool or a direct alternative to Jamboard. Thank you.